Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny. I just came back from London teaching a new client, a new student on my 6 weeks program. It was a fantastic session. He's really brave. Because the amount of courage it takes to come to me and to do this work, to work on your social anxiety and to become confident. It's not an easy thing to do initially. I know that because I've had to go to a mentor myself, so I can appreciate how much courage it takes. One of the sticking points that's really common with men that I work, certainly been a sticking point for me, something that occasionally I struggle with as well, but I've really got much better with it, and really that's all I can really hope to do as a teacher, is to pass on what I'm learning and just to be able to help anyone who's suffering from social phobia, social anxiety, low self-esteem, just to give them, an easier time, and that's really a sign of confidence. I think a lot of people have the misconception that confidence is when you're always perfect and you never feel fear. That's not how I've understood it, and it's not the examples I've seen from teachers that I've been inspired by, and in my actual own life experience, and just being more aware and learning from people. So interestingly enough, one of the things that came up in the lesson today, it's come up with quite a lot of men, I had it all the time, was social awkwardness, and that's also, uncomfortable silences. Now the silence for me wasn't uncomfortable because I've practiced in the silence and I'm helping this young man who's really brave and inspiring, but it does happen to me sometimes. Yeah, it does happen to me when I meet new people. I've done a lot of interviews lately. I've done about 7 interviews, maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe 5, maybe 7 podcast interviews, some face to face. And that feeling does come up in me sometimes, but I suppose I'm more confident because I've practiced in the feeling. That's really what I got this young man to do today. I got him to practice in the feelings, and I know exactly how he feels, and it's a terrifying feeling to feel judged by people and to feel naked. And that's what happens when we're speaking to someone and we completely run out of what to say. We go into our mind. Sometimes a story starts opening up. It could be a negative story. Maybe we feel that we're being judged by the person, or a story from the past comes up if you've undergone bullying or trauma from a parent or something in school. Or sometimes we just go blank and we get this feeling of terrorizing up anxiety, fear, and it chokes us here. We can't breathe, and that's what I used to experience all the time. So what I'm going to do is, because I never like sounding like I'm judging people, I wouldn't judge any of my students, I'm going to talk about how I used to feel, and this is going to explain maybe how you're feeling, and as this video goes on we're going to come up with a solution. So for me, it was always a huge thing around, I always had this thing, I don't want to be caught out by people. It's interesting because I don't really know what I could be caught out for. Caught out for getting uncomfortable socially? Is that the biggest crime in the world? Has a human being on the earth never got uncomfortable with another human being? Let's be honest guys, ain't we uncomfortable as a species? Social awkwardness is happening all the time. If you live in London and you want to see social awkwardness, just go on the train. You'll see it all around you. People not making eye contact. People stressed. Don't worry, I'm not making love. It's been a year, nothing. Look around on the streets, how strung out people are. But it isn't always like that. Of course, we can see what we create. We can create our own reality. But if you are in that place, then it's likely you'll see that. Usually what we're afraid of, we'll see it everywhere, we'll project it, we'll get it. I know for me, when it happens to me, I'm going to tell you a little story. It happened to me a few weeks ago. Maybe you're surprised, maybe you're shocked that Johnny Berba gets nervous, or he gets socially awkward, or he gets anxious. Of course I do. I'm coming from a background of social phobia. It doesn't mean because I'm comfortable and confident in myself that I'm not sometimes invited by those feelings. That's what makes me a good teacher. How would I be able to teach another person if I don't suffer it myself? But I don't suffer it like I used to, and that's the transformation. And that's what I'm helping this young man to do. By the time the 6 weeks is over, he won't have this fear like he's feeling now, because he's going to go through it. We practiced it. So let's practice it now. Let's practice being awkward. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you about the story. Let me just tell you about the story, we'll come back to it. As you guys know, I've been going through huge changes myself. My identity is, if you've been following me since the channel started, you'd see me go through some changes. I think it's really exciting. I think it's very inspiring, because as I'm going through the change, of course you guys are going through the change. You're helping me and I'm helping you. Even if people don't like to believe it, that is a fact. I feel it, I see it, and I couldn't have done this without the support of other people and the criticism, of course. Anyway, so I'm on a date with this very attractive Polish woman, and I'm feeling really confident because I've improved myself and I feel a lot more socially relaxed, but I also feel really terrified and nervous because I am so confident, because I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Yeah, maybe that's part of me that still needs to get more comfortable, but I'm very aware that my presence it's quite overwhelming at the moment because I'm just carrying so much love, and it's I don't have to say too much. So when I sat with her, I could see that she was really intimidated and nervous, and I don't like making people feel like that, because I spent most of my life being afraid of people and terrified. I mean terrified socially, and that's not even exaggerating. That's playing it safe, being polite. I was petrified of people and being judged by people. So I got nervous because she got nervous, and then she got nervous because I got nervous, and I noticed that she noticed, and there was a massive awkwardness. And what I learnt was I went back to honesty. Let me go back to truth and honesty. Let's call it out. I said, oh, I'm feeling it too. That's all right. I said, it's okay. I said, it's just we're feeling each other. It's all right. She just tightened up. The poor thing. She's beautiful, lovely woman. She looked at me. She felt judged. I felt judged. We both felt judged. Stories were coming up in our head. Nervous. The breathing changed. But I just went, accept there's awkwardness. It's not death. She doesn't hate me, I don't hate her. It's because we're attracted to each other. So the awkwardness is attraction, plus I'm a confident man, and my honesty, bless her heart, frightened the living daylights out of her, because I feel like I'm at a place where I feel like my ego has just been ripped away from me. I know that's probably not true, but a lot of my insecurities and all those protective personalities have been dissolved. So it just leaves this really transparent, lovely man, which is what you guys are, you're becoming. But what was interesting was another voice come up in my head, an insecurity from the past. She's not going to want to see me again. She won't want to see me again because she feels awkward. But then a stronger voice come up and said, of course she's going to want to see you, Johnny. You're a very handsome, attractive, honest, kind man. Why wouldn't she want to see you? Of course we met the next time. We had the awkwardness the next day, and then we had it the third one. By the fifth one, it had gone. Isn't that beautiful? So I recognised something on a deep level that's not spoken about in our society. We didn't connect with one another and build friendship, whatever you want to call it. We had a great time. I didn't sleep with her, by the way. She turned me down. I'll tell you about that in a second. She wasn't right for me because I'm looking for a girlfriend or a wife. But we wouldn't have got to that level of human connection if we didn't get uncomfortable. And this is what I was teaching this young man today, because he assumes I'm really confident. And I'll take that, that's graceful, it's nice, but I'm only confident because I'm scared too, and I'm vulnerable too, like all of you are. But I've got better being scared, I've got better being vulnerable. It has the illusion that I'm confident. I'm like everyone else, I've got my insecurities, but I will accept I am confident in myself, but it does come with its challenges. And there's certainly, I think every day as humans we feel anxiety. But I was so excited to share this with this young man, and then, you can just see people's face light up, and then he wasn't uncomfortable, then he got comfortable again, and then he got back to uncomfortable, and that's the practice. And this is how you get good with women. What am I talking about? This is how you get good with people, this is how you get good with yourself. This is how you build a kingdom within. So, just to touch on the story, because you might be curious, the woman turned me down because she said I was too spiritual, and the level of integrity that I'm living at in my life, she doesn't think that would work for her, and I really appreciated that. I didn't feel rejected by her. She was beautiful, I connected with her, and offered a friendship, and she accepted. So it's just really nice to know that it's okay to feel judged, because we all judge one another, but I just try and stop. I don't judge people harshly, because I just don't feel that. I love the guys that come to me, I really mean that, because I love myself. So if you're experiencing this, the way to overcome it is to put yourself in the situation more and more and to start celebrating it. It makes me laugh in British culture, because why are we so afraid of being socially uncomfortable? We're socially awkward anyway, so we can't hide it. Why don't we talk about it, and then we're not awkward no more? I guarantee now, watching this video of me, you feel you're connecting with me. I know it, I can feel it. I know that for a fact. Because this is honesty, this is congruence. And the student challenged me today with some really good stuff. He said, well, what's congruency, Johnny? Can you explain? I said, it's what's happening right now. Congruency in my book doesn't mean being perfect, but it means being honest, being congruent to who you are and how you feel. Sometimes I'm scared. I'm on dates, I'm shy. I feel judged. I don't know, sorry my language, I don't know what the fuck to say. I don't know what to come up with. I'm terrified of this woman. I'm attracted to her. I want her to like me. I'm scared she's going to turn me down. Sometimes I feel so confident. Everything's flowing. I know what to say. I know when to touch. I just feel so good. I'm a human being. We should celebrate that more. So it's about self-acceptance, isn't it? And then when we feel overly judged, we've forgotten to accept ourselves in the moment. We're letting stories overtake us. We're letting fear interrupt. So I said to the guy I was working with, if you feel fear, it's not me you're afraid of. You're not afraid of me. It's just you're afraid of fear itself, and fear will try and interrupt us spiritually, psychologically, socially. And he's just getting stronger. When you sit with people and look at their eyes, you can just see the person growing just through honesty. So this is how you overcome it. And guess what? You start finding the more you practice, the less you get awkward. And I think the awkwardness comes from the fear of it happening. Most of us are so scared of things happening in our life, we create it. So we need to focus on not worrying about it happening, then it won't happen. But we also need to take comfort. If it does happen, so what? Is it a crime to run out of things to say? Happens to me all the time when I'm video blogging. Go and look at my videos. There's times when I'm flowing. There's times when I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just honest. I'm myself, and that's why I've accepted myself. So you guys or girls need to. This is a great lesson. This is what I learned. This is my experience, and I had to unlearn what I was taught growing up. Oh, you mustn't be awkward. Speak up. Stand up straight. If the person's talking to you, listen. That doesn't do a kid any good. That's bullying, and it's making people afraid. So I'm going to go even deeper. We really need to look at the way, I'm talking if teachers are watching, school teachers or government bodies or whoever, MPs are watching, because I know a lot of people are watching my stuff, it's going out. We need to look at the way that we're teaching kids how to interact with one another in schools. We're teaching kids how to be afraid. We're teaching them to feel judged by one another. How are we going to love one another if we're afraid of one another? It's no wonder people are socially awkward and they're full of social anxiety. You don't need to get traumatized to have this. It doesn't mean because you get awkward you have a bad past. It's actually quite nice. I like it when I'm talking to someone I see they get awkward, because it's a form of honesty there. There's a vulnerability there. It's very, very beautiful, very, very attractive, and I love it when it happens with women. Very, very attractive, very nice. It's very childlike, very manly, very masculine, very alpha. I hope I'm talking to the right audience. I've got awkward, I don't know what to say. I've run out of what to say, I don't know what to say, I'm worried. What am I worried about? Relax. We'll sit with it, be present. Something that I loved that I heard, and it just, I felt it felt true to me. It said God is in silence. I think what it meant by that was the best sound is silence. Because in silence is when we can hear our authentic voice, we can be with ourselves. So most times in our society when we're speaking, I'm going to put my hand up to this, we're speaking because we're afraid of silence. We don't trust ourselves. But I do trust myself now, I never used to. So maybe you don't trust yourself to be silent. Irrational thoughts. It's beautiful, it's peaceful. So that peace, feel that peace. What's wrong with this? What's to be ashamed of? Kids in our society are taught to be ashamed of this, going quiet with eye contact. What is wrong with that? I'm not going to hurt people, I'm not going to hurt anyone. That's what men are being taught. That's why when men go out to nightclubs, they drink and talk rubbish, talk crap about people and themselves, self-esteem, low self-esteem, scared, being taught fear. So anyway, it is an exciting practice once you know that it's not a big deal. In fact, you should welcome it and practice it. It does feel scary when it happens, because it does happen to me sometimes, especially when I do interviews and I'm brought on shows. I will have, but I'm getting much better with it, and I'll always fall back on calling it out. And it's very likely that the person you're talking to is well, obviously they're a human being, unless you talk to aliens. That's another video for maybe another time, another channel. It's very likely that another person sometimes feels that we're human beings. We're always getting comfortable with one another. And that's why touch is important. That's why trust, that's why eye contact. But as I said to this young man today, got to get our integrity right, then we'll feel more comfortable and we'll feel less judged. It's a wonderful realization, and it's one that everyone needs to have and everyone deserves. So practice it with your friend, because you'd be surprised. Most friends, like, get one of your best friends, and I guarantee you, if you sit opposite one another, little bits of awkwardness will come up. It's good, it's you helping each other. You're just helping each other to grow. Doesn't mean that you don't like each other. That's not true, but that's what our society teaches us. If I'm awkward, I'm a bad person, or someone's going to think bad things about me. Not at all. I see awkwardness in everyone, and I see it in myself as well. And I see beauty in everyone, and I see talent. But the awkwardness is humanness. As long as you're not awkward in every second of every moment, how I used to be when I was younger, because I was terrified and full of trauma. Obviously, you work on your confidence. You go out and practice speaking to people. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, what I told the young man. A lot of us are led to believe, or like to believe, we can use a method, or we can find a way that will avoid this awkwardness. But the only way to avoid awkwardness is to go through awkwardness. You can't avoid fear. You have to engage with fear. You have to feel it. So it's always feeling anxiety, fear, and then getting really comfortable at feeling it, managing it, and then it just goes away. Enjoy the process and be awkward.